Welcome again to the Dickerods.
Hey.
Now it's another wonderful day. The Orioles are losing by 10 runs. Glenn is
down by 5.
semi-sober, so it's just a normal day.
Yeah.
But what we're giving you today is not normal. It is something very special. So we're going to pick up where we left off last week. Glenn kind of gave us his story of how he sucked and ended up at a D3 school. So as we had mentioned, we had reached out to some D1 schools, and one of the ones that got back to us was Mount St. Mary's. And their coach, Scott Thompson, got in touch with us and gave us some information on what it might take to get seen by a college. So we're going to run through some of the points. He gave us 3. First one, they need to contact the coach at the college and introduce themselves, not the parents. College coaches are recruiting the players, not the parents. Glenn.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
I mean, it's a very valid point. I mean, I feel like when it comes down to a player having their parents contact them, it still kind of gives off a vibe that you are not really all that grown up yet. I feel like college is that point at the time where you need to separate yourself from your parents. So having your parents kind of start off that process for you by contacting the coach for you, I think just kind of shows a level of maturity. So I definitely think this is a very key point. I mean, I feel like it's also pretty self-explanatory. This is what I would expect every player to do. I really have never actually heard of a parent actually contacting a coach first, but definitely a good point.
Yeah, if you are having your parents contact, you're not mature enough to do that. You're probably not going to be mature enough to play college baseball. So
No, definitely not.
you got to figure it out. Number 2, this one's interesting because Glenn just bashed this last week. They should try and go to a summer camp of the school they wish to go to so they can see how the coaches coach, see what the dorm and food is like.
Wait. Okay, go on.
This also gives me and my staff a chance to evaluate the players over a 4-day period in both game and drill situations. Now,
I'm not bashing that idea. I think that's a good idea. I'm just saying I went to one of them and was the sucker who fell for the first coach who said, hey, we want you. I'm definitely encouraging people to go to the school's camps themselves and at that point get to know the coach better in a one-on-one situation than just a showcase camp like where there's multiple coaches showing up from different schools. However, don't fall for the first one to say to you, hey, we're ready to sign you right now.
So Scott actually said further down in his email, we won't read it, but that they sign at least half of their players right out of camp.
Yeah.
And that's the same way. I mean, that's what they said at Messiah, that they don't take any players on that don't attend camps. I'm not sure if I believe that or not, but that's what we're told. And you got to be wary because some of these coaches are taking your money and don't give a crap about you. So in your own sense, understand if you suck. Don't be paying hundreds of dollars if you don't have a chance to play college baseball. Parents hear that too. Don't pay for your kids to not have a chance.
Exactly.
Lastly, send the schools their grades and test scores. Glenn, why might this be a good idea?
Well, this is a very good idea. I'm not saying I was the stupidest kid, but let's be real. Okay, I was very good in high school. I was a smart kid in high school. However, my major was a fairly difficult major. And it was, I didn't have the greatest GPA in the world. So, I mean, it's definitely good for a coach to know if you're smart enough to stay in the school. I mean, I'm not going to name names or whatnot. People who attended our schools would probably know who they are. But there are multiple people who went to our school who could not survive more than a year because they were not able to stay up with the academic aspect of it. And that is definitely a big part of it. Especially if you go Division III, you definitely are more of a student athlete at Division III than you are at the Division I level.
Yeah, guys, grades count, as they say.
They really do.
If you're not going to be the most talented player, which 99% of us aren't, you got to give the coach something to be confident in. And if you're not going to be a problem academically or emotionally or physically, that's something to look at. So just we had kids on our team that came. We made a big effort to keep in our school, and they finished their first year with a 0.9 GPA.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
And if you're in college, you know how impressive that is to end up that bad.
That is fairly difficult, I think, to actually achieve, to get that low of a GPA. But you've got to be able to stay up with both aspects of it. It's not. You're not just an athlete. As I think it was Cardell Jones or whatever said, I'm just here. I didn't come here to play school. Well, most likely you're going there to play school. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach Thompson, for giving us that wonderful information. And now let's get on to some sports news.
They did it! It's over! The game is over! The series is over! The wait is over! And the St. Louis Blues are the Stanley Cup champions for the first time in franchise history!
There's a new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions. The Raptors, the 2019 NBA champs.
All right, and we're back. We got all three boys here now. We got Money Man Q, even though he only gave us 50% last week. We'll allow him back.
You should have seen my other bets. I was 20% probably.
Well, don't follow this kid. Just kidding. Just kidding. Q has won me some money. So, NHL, Stanley Cup champions, the St. Louis Blues. First time ever.
Gloria.
What do you think, Q?
I thought they deserved it. If they win that many times on the road, Boston had them on the ropes, at home, Game 7, most momentum they're going to get, everything to play for. Haven't won since, I believe, 2011. I think it was the last time they won. Yeah. And they couldn't do it in front of a rookie goaltender. They couldn't score on Binnington, rookie goaltender. I mean, the Blues aren't the most talented team in the world. Like none of their lineup's going to pop out at you as like he's a stud, he's a stud, he's a stud. No, they have just average to above average players, but they just outworked them.
No, I would completely agree. I mean, you look at experience and you look at Boston. I mean, as I said last week, there is no reason Boston shouldn't have won that series. They freaking blew it. And I love watching Brad Marchand cry after the game. That's a fantastic thing. But you got to give it. Binnington had 32 saves in that game.
Yeah.
And the opportunities that Boston had that they did not finish, they had that game. They let it get out of hand. Went up.
Yeah.
I mean, they went behind 4-0, and
yeah, I agree. I think I honestly would have gave Binnington the Conn Smythe, which is the basically the MVP of the finals for the NHL, the Stanley Cup Finals. I would have gave him. I think he just stole way too many games. They gave it to Ryan O'Reilly, which he's unreal. He had like a 7 or 8 game point streak, which tied the record in the playoffs. But Jordan Binnington, man, he stole some games for them.
Oh my goodness!
I think he was so much more valuable than O'Reilly, and O'Reilly did a lot.
Phenomenal. Oh no, 100. Their whole team, yeah, they played well as a team, for sure. It was one heck of a series. I love Game 7s. I love the energy.
What I thought amazing about the Blues pulling out the win, I didn't follow the entire hockey season other than obviously my New York Islanders, but to hear that the Blues halfway through the season were literally dead last in the NHL and still won it all is just amazing to me.
Yep. I think in January they were last in the Central.
Yeah.
Fired the coach, brought in a new coach, brought Binnington up, and he started on a tear, and they just all followed.
Crazy.
Freaking awesome. Now, Glenn's bread and butter. Let's talk about the NBA.
Oh, I'm so happy what happened last night. Or 2 nights ago. So happy about that. So, finally, after a 5-year, I guess really a 2-year run, thank God the Raptors were able to take down the Warriors, stop their little dynasty, stop the three-peat. Kawhi Leonard breaking the dreams of another team trying to go for a three-peat. It was just so much fun to watch. I mean, let's be real here. They probably wouldn't have won if both KD and Clay didn't go down. And, I mean, they kind of capitalized on the injuries, obviously, but still just the fact that seeing the Warriors lose was very satisfying. I can't lie.
You know what was incredible is the way Van Vliet and Lowry stepped up. Lowry's the least clutch player in the whole NBA some days.
He's got something with the playoffs where he just never performed up to his ability, and then finally he just really stepped it up. And thank God he did, honestly, because it's not like Kawhi had that fantastic of a game last night.
Yeah, Kawhi did not. I mean, he's there, which in itself is something.
He just has a presence on the court that it's a threat no matter what.
And you look at these people playing for Golden State that don't normally have to step up like they are. I mean, you have Draymond Green with a triple-double. I mean, he wasn't scoring points, but 19 rebounds.
12 assists. It's crazy.
13 assists.
Dude was all over the place.
And you have Andre Iguodala, who's scoring 22 points, and you have Klay Thompson, who only played 3 quarters and has 30 points.
30 points.
Like, that's insane.
Honestly, if they had Klay, if Klay didn't get hurt in the third quarter, I really think they would have pushed it to a Game 7.
I 100% would agree with that
crazy.
statement.
It sucks the way he went down, and it sucks that, I mean, it would have been cool to see the Raptors win it fair and square with both lineups 100% full strength. But, I mean, just the fact that they did pull it out, it was just awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it to Toronto either way. There's no going back. It's a lot of what ifs, and that doesn't win championships. So
but that happens every single year. There's always a what if that happens every year.
Yeah, well, not
the year
when
the Cavs beat them. What if Draymond didn't get suspended for Game 5?
I mean, there weren't many what ifs last year when it went 4 and out. So
no doubt, just because they were the best team on the floor, and LeBron had freaking the McDonald's man, a freaking pizza delivery boy, and the front counter guy at Burger King as a supporting cast. Like,
all right, Glenn.
to expect. Now,
Toronto Raptors.
Here's the thing, though. With KD and Klay out, I don't like. How does this affect free agency? Is what's going to bother me. Like, I still think KD and Klay are going to get offered max deals, but I feel like it's crazy. But like, what else would you do?
I agree.
Like, as a team, I don't know what you would do as a team. Here's like, I'm taking it as this: if you're the New York Knicks right now, and you've been talked about all season long about you're getting KD, what do you do now?
I don't think that's a lock, though. KD's not bought in.
I don't think it's a lock either. I don't think it's a total lock either. But considering they are the team that's been mentioned the most, other than him staying with the Warriors, like what happens from now? And I'm very interested to see what ends up happening once free agency officially opens.
Yeah, I mean, it's wide open because now you have both of them out basically for a year.
Yeah,
for a torn ACL. And I mean, you're not
torn
coming back.
And a ruptured Achilles.
Yeah, the ruptured Achilles is at least a year. So
at least a year, and
you're going to pay somebody millions and millions of dollars, a max contract, to sit on the bench for you.
And that's not even guaranteeing with the ruptured Achilles that he ever comes back the same. I mean, if there's one injury that definitely sidelines players and definitely takes away from what they were, it is the Achilles injury. No one's ever really came back full strength from that.
Yeah, Glenn, I was just gonna ask you about that, Glenn. So, DeMarcus Cousins injured his Achilles. He was a shell of himself this whole year. It possibly led to another injury. KD just did that. He's going to be back, say a year from now? Who's going to want to sign him for that much money? And he won't even be the same, maybe.
Well, here's the thing. I think the Knicks are a stupid enough organization that they'll do it. Let's be real here. Their ownership sucks. Their front office sucks. They always end up screwing up something some way, somehow. So I honestly think the Knicks will try and sign him. And if he goes there, they're not going to ever get what they ended up paying for.
Yeah,
those New York teams.
Perfect example. Baltimore Orioles, Chris Davis.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be to that magnitude. Jeez, dude, it's like 150, but like still.
Or another New York team, the Islanders, DiPietro. Let's sign him for 45 years.
They're like still gonna be paying him.
Excellent. All right, we're gonna be coming back to you. Q's gonna have a few more picks for us. Let's hope they're a little better than last week's.
Yeah. All right, boys, we're back with some picks for the week. Last week didn't go great, I'll be honest. I probably won 2 out of the 5 I put in.
You suck.
Pretty bad. But this week, it's a new week. I am going to bet probably tomorrow morning on my way home at the old casino. So my picks this week, Saturday, 6:15, June 15th.
That's Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time, yes, as we're recording this. I am going to take the Texas Rangers, who are plus 102, over the Cincinnati Reds, who are minus 122. Now, what I do when I make picks is I try to look for the best value, like teams that shouldn't be favored, that are favored, and vice versa. So I think the Rangers should be favored here. I mean, they're away in a very small ballpark, but Mike Minor's probably been one of their best pitchers all year, and he's going for them. And Tanner Roark is going for the Reds. He's pretty bad. And so I think that Yeah, I think the Rangers. Yeah, they're the Reds, and I think the Rangers pulled out. And the Rangers have been really hot. They've been scoring a ton of runs recently. That one in Texas Rangers plus 102, 6:15 Eastern time, or not Eastern time, 7:10 Eastern time, 6:15. All right, and my next pick. Obviously, this is going to come as no surprise to anyone except Glenn. I'm taking the Colorado Rockies, San Diego Padres over 11 runs. Lock it in, book it. I'll bet the house.
How are you taking
that game.
over on 11 runs between two teams?
Glenn,
The Rockies and who? The freaking Padres?
Dude, all right. First of all, the Padres pitcher, he's ass, dude. He's the worst pitcher this side of the Mississippi. Actually, that side of the Mississippi.
The whole Padres team is ass, and that includes.
No, they're not. All right, it doesn't matter, dude. If you bunt there, it goes out of the field. Sorry for the language. Can you beep that? But honestly,
Look, guys, don't listen to anything Glenn says because he's the one who would rather sit home and drink beer than come to the sports book with
I don't
you and
have money like you do.
I agree. And then just everything goes out of the field. Like, it's just like a pop fly. It goes out. It doesn't matter how far it is. They'll score 20 runs. If it was 20 runs, I would take the over.
All right.
You're hot.
You heard it from Q. Lock that thing in. All right, boys. Any last words for our wonderful listeners? Well,
Yeah, Glenn.
LeBron and 4.
they're all idiots.
Always
And
bet on LeBron.
Until next time, you all have a wonderful week. Don't drink too much.
Well,
We'll see ya.